Isadora Fenwick wore gray to her own wedding because white belonged to women who could afford to lie. The dress had been her mother's, turned twice at the seams, and dyed the color of river fog to hide poverty's fingerprints. She pinned her hair without flowers, slipped her father's narrow ledger under her arm instead of a bouquet, and left her aunt's boarding house before dawn, while her little sister Hetty slept beside the cold stove. On the table behind her lay the moneylender's notice, the physician's bill, and Oswald Price's petition to seize the last chest of Philip Fenwick's survey papers. Her aunt had kissed neither cheek. "Do not make this sentimental," Lavinia Fenwick had said. "A duke is buying the usefulness left in your name. Be grateful he is paying in lawful coin." The merchant's chapel of Saintsbridge smelled of damp stone, ink, and extinguished candles. Fog pressed against the windows, as if even the river wanted to witness the transaction. Alistair Kane, Duke of Hawkridge, stood beneath a plaque honoring dead traitors and signed the marriage articles before he looked at his bride. His hand was elegant, black-gloved, and exact. His face had the stillness of winter water, dark hair brushed back from a brow that seemed made for judgment rather than tenderness. He did not smile when the solicitor cleared his throat. He did not pretend the morning was sacred. He turned the parchment, dipped the pen again, and said, "You have read the clauses, Miss Fenwick?" "Yes, Your Grace." "Then you understand there is no expectation of romance?" "I understood that before I read them." The clerk's pen stopped. Aunt Lavinia stiffened. Oswald Price, creditor, false friend, and the man who had smiled through the slow dismantling of her father's estate, gave a soft laugh near the door. "A practical bride. How fortunate. His Grace wants Fenwick maps, not Fenwick tears." The Duke heard him. Isadora knew he heard him, because his pen paused for the space of one heartbeat, but he said nothing. That was her first lesson in marriage to Alistair Kane. He noticed everything and defended nothing unless it had already been entered into evidence. The articles gave the Duke of Hawkridge joint protection over the Fenwick marsh rights, access to Philip Fenwick's drainage papers, and a lawful wife before the Westmere Sluice Commission reconvened. In return, Isadora received guardianship over Hetty, payment of the girl's school and medical fees, a separate allowance, and the right to audit all ledgers connected to the Hawkridge drainage works. After 1 year, if both parties agreed, a private separation could be arranged without prejudice to her settlement. It was not a wedding contract. It was a bridge over a pit, drawn in black ink. The vows took less than 5 minutes. His ring on her finger was plain old gold, cold from the chapel air. He did not kiss her. He only inclined his head when the clerk declared them married and said, "The carriage is ready, Duchess." Duchess. The word rolled across the stone floor like a coin she did not trust. Outside, Oswald Price lifted his hat. "No man of feeling would have attempted such a match, Your Grace." For the first time that morning, the Duke looked fully at him. Then he opened the carriage door himself and waited for Isadora to enter. It wasn't tenderness. It was not even kindness exactly. It was a public correction of who would decide whether she remained outside. She stepped into the carriage with her father's ledger clutched to her ribs and told herself that gratitude was dangerous when offered for the smallest decency. Hawkridge House stood 2 hours north, where the river widened into marsh and the winter reeds rattled like dry bones. The great Blackstone house looked less built than anchored, its narrow windows watching the channels below. Beyond it lay the broken lower sluice, where, 11 years earlier, a flood had taken 4 cottages, 2 lockmen, and Thomas Kane, the Duke's younger brother. The county had blamed Philip Fenwick's design. Philip had died with his reputation drowned before his body, and Isadora had grown up hearing her father's name spoken in lowered voices, as though skill could curdle into murder. Lady Octavia Kane, the Duke's widowed aunt, received Isadora in the entrance hall with black lace at her throat and a smile sharpened by breeding. "So, this is the Fenwick girl. How modestly disaster presents itself when elevated." Alistair removed his gloves. "This is the Duchess of Hawkridge." "Legally, yes. In my house, that is the only category that matters." He did not raise his voice. He did not look at Isadora to see whether she was grateful. He simply closed the matter, as one closes a ledger whose total has been reached. Later, in her chamber overlooking the marsh, she found Hetty's school fees already paid, the physician satisfied, and assigned permission for Hetty to visit whenever Isadora wished. That unsettled her more than cruelty would have. Cruelty was familiar. Consideration performed without request made the floor feel less certain beneath her feet. At dinner, they sat at opposite ends of a table, long enough to host a treaty. A footman poured soup with funeral precision. The Duke asked whether her room was adequate, whether her trunks had arrived, whether she required writing materials. She said no 3 times, then added, "And tomorrow, you will ask for my father's papers." "Tomorrow, Mr. Vale will bring the Westmere ledgers to the Blue Parlor," he said. "Your father's papers will be copied only in your presence when you choose to provide them. Not removed. I am not Oswald Price. No." Mr. Price smiles more. For the first time, his mouth altered, not into a smile, but into the remembrance of one. "I have been advised that smiling is not necessary to competent estate management. I have been advised that my opinions are not necessary to drainage. By Price? Among others. Then we shall assume the advice was self-serving." The next morning she found him in the Blue Parlor with ledgers, tide charts, maps, and coffee set out in severe order. He wore no coat, only a dark waistcoat and shirt sleeves rolled to the wrist. A faint scar crossed the back of his left hand. "Mrs. Voss says you take coffee without sugar," she asked. I asked her to ask. Again, danger. Coldness she could resist. A man who paid attention without announcing charity was more difficult. He handed her the widow's Pete Fund ledger. "I want discrepancies. Because you trust my competence? Because I bought it." Isadora set the ledger down. "Your Grace, if you bought my obedience, the contract is defective." He looked at her for a long moment. "Good. Obedience is rarely useful with numbers." For 6 hours they worked with little speech. Isadora's father had taught her that lies in accounts were like rats in grain. One saw the damage before the creature. A nibble here, a hole there, a trail of dust where no dust should be. By noon, she had found false invoices from a foundry closed 5 years earlier, flood markers charged to villages where no markers stood, and funds meant for widows diverted under the notation Provisional Legal Reserve, authorized by H. Kane. "Hollis Kane?" she asked. The Duke's face hardened. His uncle had managed Hawkridge after the flood, while Alistair's mother collapsed into illness, and Alistair himself disappeared into Parliament and silence. "He retired last spring," Alistair said. "Retirement is a poor solvent for ink." That afternoon, as winterlight faded, Isadora realized he had married her not only for papers, but for skill. It should have insulted her. Instead, it made the cage clearer. A cage with visible bars could be measured. The county came to inspect her within the week. At a dinner arranged by Lady Octavia, landowners, magistrates, and one bishop's wife studied the new duchess as if poverty might stain the silver. Lady Marcella Vey, copper-haired and pale as expensive porcelain, looked at Isadora's gray gown and said, "How brave to wear the same dress twice. It gives the county such hope for economies." "I find fabric more faithful when not discarded after a single performance," Isadora replied. Several gentlemen coughed into their wine. Marcella's smile thinned. During the fish course, Sir Edmund Lyle asked whether the Fenwick papers had at last come into responsible hands. The table paused. Isadora kept her gaze on her plate. Alistair cut his fish with calm precision. They have always been in responsible hands. Mine are merely larger. It was such a strange compliment, disguised so badly as arrogance, that Isadora had to lower her eyes. Marcella would not leave the wound alone. Let us hope her grace brings Hawkridge luck. The marsh has not enjoyed much of that from Fenwick's. Luck, Isadora said, lifting her glass, is what people blame when they do not wish to read reports. Alistair's eyes came to her across the table. Then we are fortunate that her grace reads them. It was not a declaration. It was a line drawn on polished wood. After dinner, she escaped to the corridor outside the library. The Duke followed her beneath the portrait of a dead Cain with hunting dogs. You answered well, he said. I answered, because no one else was going to. I did, after I had already bled politely. The word slipped out too sharp. She expected ice. Instead, he said, That is accurate. She looked at him then, truly looked. You do not like defending people in rooms. I do not like rooms that require it. That is a luxury. Yes. The admission fell between them without ornament. He did not apologize with softness. He placed truth on the floor and left her free to step over it or not. Days settled into ledgers, inspections, and restrained hostilities. Lady Octavia instructed her in all the ways a duchess could be insufficient. Mr. Vale, the steward, learned that she could find a misplaced shilling faster than he could invent a polite cough. Hetty visited at Christmas and asked the Duke whether he was cold on purpose. Alistair considered the child gravely. Less often than people think, more often than is useful. Hetty said. Dora says that about boiled cabbage. After that, jam tarts appeared whenever Hetty came to tea. The Duke never admitted ordering them. Hetty never admitted noticing. Isadora watched the conspiracy with the dangerous ache of seeing a hard house make room for a child. One afternoon, she found Alistair in the map room, staring at a water-damaged plan of the old sluice. Thomas Caine's portrait hung in the corridor behind him, still slightly turned toward the wall, as though grief had tilted it when no servant was watching. My father did not kill your brother, Isadora said. The Duke did not turn. Do you know that? Or do you need it to be true? I know my father feared mistakes more than poverty. He said so. She went still. Alistair opened a drawer and withdrew a brittle deposition. At the inquest, Philip Fenwick stated that his upper mechanism could not have released water when witnesses claimed. He asked for the counterweight chain to be examined. Lord Hollis argued it had been swept away. The coroner accepted the explanation. Her father's signature trembled at the bottom, Philip Fenwick. She had not seen his hand in years without feeling the world tilt. You had this before the wedding, she whispered. I found it 2 months before. You married me knowing my father might have been framed? Yes, for my papers. For your papers, your marsh rights, and your mind. The honesty cut more cleanly than denial. And if the evidence proved him guilty, then his name would remain so, and mine with it. Your name is mine now. She laughed once, without joy. That is not rescue, that is annexation. The word struck him. He did not defend himself. After a long moment, he said, I spent 11 years believing attachment made men weak at the moment judgment was required. I do not always hear myself when I speak as the man who survived that belief. Isadora folded the deposition with shaking care. I will help find the truth, because it is mine, not because I am yours. Agreed. And if you use this marriage to claim my voice, I will make you regret buying my competence. I already regret the purchase, he said. Her throat tightened, before she could decide whether to be insulted. Not because of the cost," he added, "because you are not an object, and I knew that before the chapel." She left before her face could reveal what that did to her. The first man to bring them true help from outside Hawkridge was Quentin Arliss, a Saintsbridge barrister with ink-stained cuffs and the dangerous kindness of someone who understood exactly how fear looked when dressed as pride. He arrived under the pretense of representing tenants disputing a drainage levy. In truth, he brought copies of old complaints against Lord Hollis and proof that, in the months before the flood, Hollis had negotiated privately with investors for a canal route across the lower marsh. Philip Fenwick's design would have stabilized the villages and made forced purchase impossible. After the flood discredited him, land values collapsed. Agents connected to Hollis bought the largest parcels. "So my father's ruin was useful," Isadora said. Quentin did not soften the answer. "Yes." Alistair stood by the window, listening as if Quentin were a witness, not a man whose eyes returned with careful warmth to Isadora's face. "You have acted against Hawkridge levies before, Mr. Arliss. You are not impartial." "Neither is a husband," Quentin replied. The air changed. Isadora set down her cup. "Mr. Arliss brought documents. Let us not punish him for having opinions attached." Alistair's gaze moved briefly to her ring, then away. "Continue," Quentin continued. He brought parish records, missing levy receipts, and later affidavits from 2 former bargemen who remembered green signal lanterns near the lower sluice on the flood night. He spoke to Isadora as if she were the principal mind in the room. She found it pleasant, and therefore inconvenient. The investigation gained ground, then stumbled. A London paper printed a cartoon of the Duke of Hawkridge, led by a marsh girl holding a ledger like a leash. Beneath it, the drained Duke. Lady Marcella sent 3 copies to the house. Alistair read one at breakfast, folded it, and said, "The likeness is poor. Hetty's drawing of my nose is better." Hetty beamed. Lady Octavia left the room, but ridicule was not harmless. Shopkeepers lowered their voices when Isadora entered. Invitations arrived addressed to His Grace and His Grace's practical lady, then were withdrawn after a fence had been created. Oswald Price petitioned the court to examine the Fenwick chest, claiming creditor interest. Lord Hollis wrote from his retirement villa, calling Isadora ambitious, Philip unstable, and Alistair bewitched by guilt and dark eyes. Alistair threw the letter into the fire. "Do not burn evidence," Isadora snapped. He reached into the flames with tongs, retrieved the blackened corner, and laid it on the table. "Then teach me. Teach me. Not save me. Not obey me. Not trust me because I command it." The words moved through her before she could defend against them. She pressed the scorched paper between blank sheets to preserve the watermark and pretended her hands were steady. In February, the Fenmere Drainage Commission gathered in the market hall. Lord Hollis attended in a pearl waistcoat, carrying a cane topped with a silver hawk. He smiled at Isadora as if she were a niece who had forgotten manners. "My dear Duchess," he said, "you have turned our gloomy boy into a collector of old mud." "Mud preserves what drawing rooms misplace," she replied. He smiled harder. The hearing began badly. Hollis spoke beautifully of grief, error, and the dangers of rewriting painful history. Oswald Price produced a page he claimed came from Philip Fenwick's private notebook, showing a timing error in the lower gate calculation. The room inhaled. Isadora knew at once the hand was wrong, but knowledge inside the body was not proof outside it. "The 7 has a bar through it," she said, when Alistair turned the page toward her. "My father never barred 7s. He said they looked like broken ladders. The ink is iron gall, but he used lampblack that year because my mother's headaches worsened. And the margin has been cut." Oswald gave a soft laugh. "A daughter's sentiment," A forger's economy. He cut the watermark away. Quentin stepped forward from the back. The remaining half can be tested. The page was held to the window. Faintly, beneath the edge, appeared the maker's mark of a London legal supplier associated with Price's office. The first murmurs began. Lady Marcella rose. Even if one page is disputed, the Duchess profits from rewriting history. She entered this marriage with nothing but a dead man's excuses. Alistair stood, the room quieted, not because he shouted, but because he did not need to. Her Grace entered this marriage with more courage than this county has shown in 11 years, he said. Address the evidence, or be silent. Marcella flushed. Isadora stared at the table, afraid that if she looked at him, every businesslike wall around her heart would show cracks. The hearing ended without resolution, but it did not end in surrender. A lockman's widow pressed a bundle into Isadora's hand outside the hall. Inside lay a brass-tied rule marked with Philip Fenwick's initials. That night, Isadora sat in the map room with the rule across her lap and cried for the first time since the wedding. Alistair found her there and stopped in the doorway. I can leave. No. The word broke, and she hated herself for it. He came in slowly. He did not touch her. He sat on the floor beside her chair, his back against the bookcase, a duke reduced to silence at her feet. My father held this, she said. After everyone decided he was careless, he still measured. He still tried. I know. You do not. No, he said. But I know trying after judgment has already been passed. She looked down at him. Candlelight cut severity and weariness into his face. He was not only the man who had purchased her usefulness, he was also a man who had inherited power, a dead brother, a locked house, and a lie repeated until it sounded like blood. Did you hate me? She asked. Before I knew you? Yes. I hated the usefulness of you. I hated that I needed a Fenwick to uncover what Keynes buried. I did not know enough of you to hate you. And now? His hands closed once on his knees. Now I know enough to be afraid. It was not a confession of love. It was worse. It was honest. By April, hope had become its own form of cruelty. One witness vanished to Liverpool. Price prepared a petition to annul the marriage for fraud if the Fenwick papers were authenticated against him. Lady Octavia entertained Marcella again. Lord Hollis sent flowers to Hetty with a note calling her a clever little marsh mouse, and Alistair ordered the flowers burned behind the stables because his hands shook too badly to trust himself with a reply. The marriage had become something neither contract nor society could name. They still kept separate rooms. They still argued like litigants when pride was tired. Yet at night, he came to the blue parlor with tea he forgot to drink and listened while she read her father's notes aloud. Once she woke in her chair under his coat, the fire built high. Her ledger closed to save her place. No one had staged the tenderness. That made it harder to dismiss. Quentin returned from London with news that Price's annulment petition, if accepted, could threaten Hetty's allowance. They were walking near the broken glass house when he stopped, rainwater shining on the gravel. There is another way, he said. She knew before he continued. If your marriage is broken by men who never deserved your trust, you need not fall back into your aunt's hands. I can offer legal protection. My practice is modest, but growing. Hetty could come with us. You could continue the Fenwick case without being trapped between Hawkridge pride and Kane guilt. Trapped, she repeated. I have watched you fight in rooms where your husband's name protects you and imprisons you in the same breath. The glasshouse door opened behind them. Alistair stood there with a packet of letters in his hand. He had heard enough. His face was entirely still. But stillness was no longer proof that he felt nothing. Isadora knew him too well now. She saw the strike land. Quentin turned, pale but unashamed. "Your Grace, I apologize for the manner, not the offer. The old Duke from the chapel might have reached for law, title, possession. This man did none of those things." He looked at Isadora and said, "She will answer for herself." Her heart hurt. Quentin went down on one knee on the damp gravel. "Isadora Fenwick Kane, if this marriage is ended by force or fraud, marry me. Not for title, not for maps, not for revenge, for honest work, shared danger, and a house where no one purchases your silence." The cold Duke watched another man propose to his wife, and the whole world seemed to hold its breath. Isadora looked at Quentin, who offered respect. She looked at Alistair, who offered nothing with his hands, nothing with his title, nothing except the terrible discipline of letting her be free, even when freedom might take her away. "Get up, Quentin," she said softly. Pain crossed his face. "You are a good man. Because you are a good man, I will not use you as a rescue boat when I have not decided which shore is mine. I would not think myself used. I would." He rose slowly. She turned to Alistair. "And you? Do not look noble? It irritates me." Something like breath returned to him. "I had not intended nobility. You intended suffering quietly, which is nobility's more conceited cousin." Quentin made a strangled sound that might have been a laugh. Isadora lifted her chin. "My answer is no, not because I choose Hawkridge, not because I reject kindness, because I am not finished. If men wish to annul me, inherit me, discredit me, or save me, they may wait outside until I have finished with the truth." Quentin bowed, wounded and respectful, and left them by the glass house. Only then did Alistair offer the packet. "The vanished bargeman is dead. Fever, according to Liverpool records. His sister sent these before she left for Ireland. He wrote after the flood. He saw green lanterns at the lower gate. The proposal vanished beneath greater grief, but not entirely. That night, in the blue parlor, Alistair stood too long by the mantel. 'You refused him,' he said. 'Yes. Not because of me.' 'No.' The answer struck him, but he nodded. 'Good. You are impossible. I am trying to be less so.' She folded one of the letters, unfolded it, and folded it again. 'Did you want me to refuse him because of you?' He looked at the fire, with an ugliness I am not proud of. There it was, not ownership, confession. 'I wanted,' he continued, voice low, 'to tell him that your courage is known here, that Hetty's laughter is known here, that your mind has altered the walls of this house. I wanted to say he had no right to offer a gentler life when I had not yet learned how to deserve the one you were building in front of me. Why did you not? Because wanting is not a right.' She crossed the carpet until only a foot of space remained between them. 'I saw our wedding as business. So did I. I am beginning to suspect we were both poor accountants.' His laugh surprised them both, brief and rough and beautiful because it seemed to hurt on the way out. She touched the scar across his hand. He turned his palm beneath her fingers. Nothing more happened. It was enough to frighten them. The case broke open because of a child's toy. In May, Hetty chased the kitchen cat through a disused corridor and knocked loose a warped skirting board near the old nursery stairs. Behind it, wrapped in oilcloth, lay a tin soldier with one arm missing, a twist of blackened lamp wick, and a note written in a boy's untidy hand. "T," says Uncle H, "sends green lights when boats are not to be named. Mr. Fenwick angry." A says, "Tell father." Uncle H says boys who spy on floodworks get heroes drowned. Alistair read it once and sat down hard on the nursery steps. A is me, he said. You remembered? No. I remembered arguing. I remembered Thomas laughing. I remembered Hollis giving us sweets and telling us not to repeat doc talk. I did not remember writing this. Children hide what frightens them. My brother died, and men used your grief to make you their alibi. His coldness did not look like ice then. It looked like a bandage left on too long, grown into the wound. When he opened his eyes, they were not soft. They were fierce. We finish this, he said. The note pointed them back to green lanterns, and green lanterns led them to Mrs. Nance Oldry, daughter of the lower lock keeper, half blind and entirely unimpressed by rank. She lived above a net mender's shop on the coast and spat into her hearth when Isadora asked about the flood. I told them then, Nance said. Green lights before the gate gave way. Not storm lights, men's lights. Heard Mr. Fenwick shouting from the upper bank that the lower chain had been fouled. Then the horn blew early. The horn? Alistair asked. Your uncle's pretty silver horn. He blew it before the trial time. Water came before Mr. Fenwick was ready. Your brother rode because he thought cottages had less warning than they did. She reached into a drawer and drew out a small dark blue clay button. Found this in my father's boat after. Lord Hollis's private livery. On the carriage ride home, Alistair said nothing for nearly an hour. Rain blurred the window. At last he said, I built my life on the wrong, guilty man. So did the county. I married you while still believing part of it. Yes. I do not know how to ask forgiveness without making forgiveness another demand. Then do not ask yet, Isadora said. Earn the question first. Lord Hollis struck back before Nance could testify. At midnight, 2 nights later, the Fenwick chest disappeared from the locked map room. No window was broken. No door forced. Only a smear of marsh clay marked the carpet, and Oswald Price's calling card lay on the writing desk. Alistair wanted the roads closed. Isadora stopped him. If Price left his card, Price was meant to be blamed first. Hollis is counting on your rage. My rage is not a horse without reins. No, but it is saddled. He stared at her, then turned to the servants. No one leaves the house without her Grace's permission. Search quietly. Send riders to watch Price, not arrest him. Lady Octavia appeared in black silk. Taking orders from your wife now, Alistair? He looked at his aunt, learning from her. By dawn, the truth came from a jam tart. Hetty had eaten 2.5 from the nursery tray, not 2 3/4. The bitten leftover meant someone else had passed through the corridor after supper. Mrs. Voss traced the tray to the east servant's stair. A stable boy admitted seeing Lady Octavia's maid carrying a shawled parcel that way. Lady Octavia did not deny it. I sent the chest to Lord Hollis for safekeeping. You are being led to disgrace by a woman whose family drowned ours. Alistair stood before her. You stole from my wife. I protected you. You stole from my wife. Lady Octavia turned on Isadora. Do you enjoy watching him turn against blood? I enjoy accuracy, Isadora said. Blood did not give Lord Hollis permission to bury mine. The chest was recovered from a wagon on the North Road, but the lock had been broken and several papers were gone, including Philip Fenwick's original counterweight design. Alistair blamed himself with the efficiency of a man practiced in private punishment. Isadora found him after dark in the ruined wheelhouse, mist beating on his coat. You cannot guard everything by standing in front of it, she said. I should have guarded that. Yes. He looked at her, startled by the refusal of easy comfort. And I should have copied it sooner, she continued. Regret is plentiful. We need something rarer. What? A next step. She redrew the missing design from memory over 3 sleepless nights Alistair sat with her, sharpening pencils, heating coffee, and setting bread near her elbow when fury made her forget hunger. On the fourth dawn, she saw what mattered, a secondary anchoring bolt that should have left a mark on the wheelhouse stone. If the chain had broken naturally, the scar would angle west. If it had been fouled and released early, the scar would angle south. They rowed to the sluice before breakfast. Mud sucked at her boots. Alistair waded knee-deep into the channel despite the cold. Beneath moss and silt, Isadora found the scar. Southward. Not accident. Interference. The final proof began with Price, though not from conscience. Quentin discovered payments routed through Price's office to 3 old inquest witnesses, each marked with a small square, crossed by a diagonal line. Hetty recognized the mark from the nursery scratches. Isadora recognized it from the laundry bills. Alistair recognized it from the childhood note, a private canal mark. Cornered, Price came to Hawkridge at dusk, with his smile thinned by fear. "Lord Hollis deceived us all. I can testify to irregularities if certain misunderstandings about the Fenwick debt are resolved." "You tried to seize my father's papers," Isadora said, "on behalf of creditors. You forged a page. An overzealous clerk. You helped steal years from a dead man." His face hardened. "Careful, Duchess. Your title is young. Mine is not." Alistair moved, but Isadora raised a hand. "No. Let him finish being ordinary." She stepped closer to Price. "You were never the architect. That must wound you. You liked standing close to great men and mistaking their shadow for your own size. Lord Hollis used you because you were useful and vain. Now you have 2 choices: become evidence or become debris." Price chose evidence. His statement confirmed that Hollis had planned to discredit Philip Fenwick before the trial opening. The canal investors needed a flood bad enough to break resistance, not a death that would attract Parliament. Thomas Kane's death had been unintended, then made useful. Hollis buried proof, bought land through agents, and managed his grieving nephew until grief hardened into obedience. Still, testimony needed iron. Nance Oldry provided the last direction. "Men don't bury chain where mud can cough it up," she said. "They sink it where they can mark it." She sent them to Cresswell Cut, abandoned after the flood. At the lowest spring tide, the mud pulled away from rotting posts. On the 3rd post, beneath barnacles, Alistair found a dark blue clay button pressed into a crack like a seal. Men from the village dug for 3 hours. They found the counterweight chain wrapped in sailcloth, black with age, its links scarred by an iron hook. Attached to it was a broken fastening stamped with the mark of Hollis's private foundry. No one spoke when it came out of the mud. Even the reporters lowered their pencils. Isadora touched the chain with 2 fingers. It was cold, heavy, ugly, and more faithful than half the living witnesses had been. "My father asked them to examine this," she said. Alistair stood beside her, boots sunk in mud, face open with grief before the entire marsh. "And they did not. I did not." She looked at him. "No, you did not. Now you will." The commission assembled at the lower sluice 3 days later because Isadora refused to let proof be softened into polite minutes before the villagers who had carried the cost could see it. Landowners complained. Lady Octavia called it vulgar. Marcella sent word that weather did not suit her complexion. The villagers came anyway, shawls tight, boots muddy, faces set. Hollis arrived in a closed carriage with theatrical sorrow. "My dear boy," he said to Alistair, "do not humiliate yourself over corroded metal and a woman's obsession." Alistair did not answer him. He turned to Isadora. "Duchess, will you present the sequence?" Not wife, not purchased Fenwick girl. Duchess as expert. Isadora stepped forward with her father's ledger, the brass tide rule, Nance's button, Quentin's payment records, Price's sworn statement, Alistair's childhood note, and the chain laid on canvas at her feet. She did not plead. She built the truth piece by piece until lies had nowhere to stand. She showed the timing of the tide, the southward scar, the green lanterns, the early horn, the foundry mark, the purchases after the flood. She showed that Thomas Kane died not because Philip Fenwick was careless, but because Hollis Kane wanted a ruined marsh cheap enough to own. When she finished, wind moved through the reeds like thousands of pages turning. Hollis laughed once. Charming. A wife's performance? Alistair, surely you will not allow. I allowed you 11 years, Alistair said. The old man stopped. I allowed you to teach me whom to blame. I allowed you to speak for my mother's grief, my brother's grave, my house, my accounts. I allowed you to turn my silence into your shelter. No more. You owe me your title's survival. I owe you a magistrate. Hollis looked at the villagers, at the chain, at Price standing pale beside Quentin. The charm fell from him, leaving calculation without furniture. You are still a purchased girl in a borrowed crown, he hissed at Isadora. She looked down at her mud-stained boots, then back at him. No, I am Philip Fenwick's daughter. That was enough before your lies, and it is enough after them. The magistrate took Hollis into custody before sunset. The county did not heal at once. Counties prefer scandal to truth until truth becomes safer to repeat. But the next morning, the Saints Bridge Chronicle printed the words Isadora had waited half her life to see. Fenwick Design cleared in Westmere flood inquiry. Aunt Lavinia wrote that she had always believed Philip misunderstood. Isadora burned the letter because not all evidence deserved preservation. Oswald Price's office closed beneath a rain of claims. Lady Marcella left for Bath. Lady Octavia departed for her sister's house without farewell, though at the door she said, "You have broken this family." "No," Isadora answered. "I found where it was already cracked." The lower sluice was rebuilt as a public trust with village oversight. Isadora insisted on it. Alistair agreed before the lawyers finished objecting. "You are surrendering control," one advisor warned. Alistair looked at Isadora across the table. "I am correcting ownership." There were evenings afterward when tenderness came easily, and that frightened her more than conflict. Alistair reading Hetty's absurd engineering diagrams with grave attention. Alistair holding Isadora's notebook in the rain while she measured new flood posts. Alistair in the library one night, asking whether he might kiss her and looking so serious that she laughed before she answered. "Yes," she said, "but if you make it tragic, I shall stop you. I have been practicing moderation." "On whom?" "Ledgers. They are less distracting." His kiss began like a question and ended like a winter, breaking in private. When he drew back, his forehead rested briefly against hers. "I love you," he said, with the astonishment of a man discovering both wound and cure in the same breath. "I did not intend to." "I should hope not," she whispered. "Your intentions are often terrible." Yet love did not erase what had come before. In August, as the one-year clause approached, Isadora placed the separation provision on the breakfast table. Alistair went very still. "I see," he said. "No. You fear. That is not the same as seeing." He looked at the paper, then at her. "Do you want to leave?" "I want to know that staying is not the remainder after every exit is locked." The words reached exactly where old guilt lived. He took up the pen and signed, not to enact the separation, but to reaffirm in writing that her settlement, Hetty's guardianship, her access to Fenwick papers, and her work on the trust would remain hers, whether she stayed as Duchess, separated wife, or widow. He slid the paper back. The door is open. Isadora signed beneath him, folded the paper, and placed it inside her ledger. "You are leaving it there?" he asked. "Yes." "Why?" "Because I keep important figures where I can check them." His breath caught. "I am not leaving today," she said. The restored sluice opened in autumn, under a sky washed clear by wind. Isadora stood on the bank in a blue gown bought with her own money. Around her throat hung the brass tide rule on a narrow chain, not ornament, but witness. Hetty stood on one side with a notebook too large for her hands. Alistair stood on the other, not ahead. Quentin read the trust provisions. Nance Oldry sat wrapped in blankets near the lockhouse and declared everyone too slow. The new gates opened with a groan, then steadied. Water moved where it was meant to move, not as enemy, not as master, but as force finally respected. A reporter asked the Duke whether this was a proud day for Hawkridge. Alistair looked at Isadora. "It is a correct day for Fenwick." That answer did what declarations in ballrooms never could. It placed her father's name beside truth, not beneath mercy. That evening, villagers, servants, clerks, tenants, children, engineers, and a few humbled landowners ate supper in the lower meadow under plain white lanterns. Hetty fell asleep with her head on Mrs. Voss's lap. Quentin argued drainage law with Mr. Vale and seemed happy. Nance beat 3 men at cards. Isadora walked away from the lanterns toward the water. Alistair followed after a minute, leaving enough distance for her to decide whether to turn. She did. He held out a brown paper parcel. "A poor anniversary gift. Our anniversary is in November. Of the day you called us poor accountants." Inside lay her wedding ledger rebound in dark green leather. The old pages had been preserved, every rainfall figure and tide mark intact. New blank pages had been added at the back. On the inside cover, in Alistair's precise hand, was written, "For accounts not yet imagined." Her eyes burned. "You rebound my ledger?" I asked Hetty's permission. Hetty is not its owner. She informed me she represented your interests in matters involving sentiment, as you are unreliable. That child is becoming intolerable. She also supervised the color. Isadora ran her fingers over the leather. "It is beautiful. I consider jewelry. I have a ring." "I know." His voice changed on those 2 words. She looked at the gold band that had begun as a clause and become something no solicitor could draft. "I thought marriage to you would be a room with one locked door," she said. "I made it nearly so." "Yes." He accepted the truth without flinching. "But it became a bridge," she continued. "Badly built at first, expensive, frequently inspected. A fair assessment, strengthened by evidence, naturally, and by jam tarts, essential to all stable structures." She laughed, and his face changed with the pleasure of causing it. The cold Duke made warm by something he had not purchased, commanded, or inherited. "I choose to stay," she said. No audience waited. No rival watched from the hedgerow. No newspaper boy stood ready to make feeling into print. The words belonged only to them, and to the water, moving steadily through the rebuilt gates. Alistair closed his eyes. When he opened them, love no longer looked like fear, wearing discipline. It looked like gratitude strong enough not to grab. "Today?" he asked. "Today." "And tomorrow?" She placed the ledger against his chest. "We will enter tomorrow when it arrives." He covered her hand with his. Behind them, lanterns swung over the meadow, ordinary and bright. Before them, the marsh breathed under a sky cleared of storm. Alistair bent and kissed her in the open air, not as proof to anyone, not as the correction of a business arrangement, but as a promise made by two people who had learned the cost of silence and chosen, at last, to keep speaking. On the 3rd anniversary of the Grey wedding, Isadora returned with him to the merchant's chapel of Saintsbridge. Fog lay along the river, thinner now, touched by sun. She stood where she had once held her father's ledger instead of flowers, and survived being sold as usefulness. She did not pity that woman. She honored her. Alistair took her hand. "I never thanked you for marrying a man who did not know how to open anything except a carriage door. You learned." Slowly, expensively, his mouth curved, frequently inspected. They left by the front door this time. No one waited to mock them. No one needed to witness them. The fog opened, the river shone, and Isadora walked beside the cold Duke, who had stopped being cold, not because love melted him like a simple season, but because truth had taught him where the ice came from, and he had chosen, day after day, not to build his home from it again.